Hello friends, welcome to UGC EPG Pathshala. I am Atika Tajdar from Department of Geography, Jamia Millia Islamia. I am presenting this module on behalf of Mr. Rajneesh Ranjan. Today, we will have some understanding of hazard, vulnerability and risk assessment. Disaster risk reduction or DRR refer to the key set of activities aimed at reducing the impact of disasters and promoting a disaster resilient society. DRR efforts cannot be pursued without an understanding of the disaster risk facing the region or community. Hazard, vulnerability and risk assessment is an important tool for developing the contextual understanding of disaster risk. It is based on the assessment of three factors. First one is hazard. Hazard is a natural or man-made event that has the possibility to cause adverse effect. It's the chance or likelihood or probability of the occurrence of the potential adverse natural or man-made event. A hazard becomes a disaster only when it interacts with vulnerability and exposure. Second one is exposure. The resources, assets and infrastructure that might be lost or damaged if the hazard materializes. Third one is vulnerability. Likelihood that the exposed asset would be damaged during the occurrence of the hazard event. It accounts for the susceptibility of the exposed assets. Vulnerability functions give an estimate of the extent of damage and the consequent losses, including social cost due to the occurrence of the hazard event. Hazard, vulnerability and risk analysis. These falls into two general categories, quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis. The former utilizes mathematical and or statistical data to arrive at a numerical description of disaster risk, and the latter also relies on mathematical and or statistical data, but instead uses defined terms or words to describe and categorize the hazard risk likelihood and consequence value outcomes. While quantitative analysis provides a specific data point, which is dollars, probability, frequency or number of injuries or fatalities. Qualitative analysis considers ranges of possible values for which each qualifier is assigned. It is often cost and time prohibitive and often not necessary to determine the exact quantitative measure for the likelihood and consequence factors of the hazard's risk. Qualitative measures are much easier to determine and typically require less time, money and most important expertise to conduct. For this reason, it is the most commonly encountered method of assessment in practice. Let's have some understanding of hazard assessment. The process of hazard assessment involves the identification and systematic ranking of all hazards that might affect a location. It involves a two-step process. First is developing an exhaustive list of all hazards that might affect the location. Second is hazard history and hazard risk assessment data is utilized to develop the list. Ranking the hazard in order of their likelihood of occurrence. Likelihood is a probabilistic assessment of whether a hazard will occur, and in case of a hazard occurring, what might be the expected frequency, which is in the number of times the event is expected to occur in a given time period. This is done through the assessment of hazard frequency and comparing it with hazard probability assessments published by different technical agencies. Hazard frequency. Data indicate the frequency or the number of times a particular hazard event occur in a specified period of time. For instance, the frequency of auto accident death in the United States is roughly 1 death per 81 million miles driven. Sources of hazard frequency data include historical data, including governmental reports, statistical or archival records, including media archives, focus group discussion with elderly in the community, existing disaster management plans, sector-wise records like that of transportation, public work, local police, fire department, etc., and all other sources of hazard data that could include detailed information about data of occurrence, magnitudes, corresponding damages and further evidences of past disaster in the community or state. The hazard frequency data is sometimes depicted in map by few agencies like the Center for Research on the Epidemiology of Disaster, which is also called CRED. Probability data. Probability refer to single event scenario where the value is expressed between 0 and 1. 0 signifies a 0% chance of occurrence while 1 signifies a certain occurrence. Example of probability data include earthquake zonation mapping, flood zone mapping, etc., which indicate the likelihood of occurrence of event but might not have happened yet. In disaster management, hazards are expressed as probabilities. For example, if an area has experienced 4 flood events in the past 200 years where flood water reaches 20 feet above the base flood elevation, then the severity of flooding has a 1 in 50 chance of occurring in any given year or a probability of 2% or 0.02 each year. The likelihood of a particular event giving rise to an emergency or disaster event could be expressed using a qualitative system of likelihood. Certain, having greater than 99% chance of occurring in a given year, which is 1 or more occurrence per year. Likely, having a 50 to 99% chances of occurring in a given year, which is 1 occurrence every 1 to 2 years. Possible, which is 5 to 49% chance of occurring in a given year, 1 occurrence every 2 to 20 years. Unlikely, 2 to 5% chances of occurring in a given year, which is 1 occurrence every 20 to 50 years. Rare, 1 to 2% chances of occurring in a given year, 1 occurrence every 50 to 100 years. Event tree. One important component of hazard analysis is the identification of subsequent hazards that might arise as a result of the hazard occurring in a particular community or location. These kind of hazards are often termed as secondary or tertiary hazards depending on its time of initiation, while the hazards which led to the occurrence of secondary or tertiary hazard is termed as the primary hazard. The secondary or tertiary hazard need to be physical geomorphological processes but could also be social reaction to the adverse event. For example, earthquake is a hazard that could give rise to landslides. It could also damage electricity connectivity that could impact patient in intense care in hospitals, which themselves had not been affected by the earthquake. Earthquake could also lead to fire incidences as secondary hazard. Another example is the rise in epidemics like cholera or gastrointestinal illness post-floods. These secondary hazards, when occurring by themselves, shall be primary hazards, but when it follows the occurrence of primary hazards are termed as secondary hazards. Imagination of such secondary and tertiary cascading hazard is an important component of hazard assessment. An event tree is an effective method to identify secondary and tertiary hazard that might arise from a primary hazard and prepare accordingly. Event tree explore multiple outcomes that might result from a particular primary hazard as the instigating event. The figure represents a simple event tree. In disaster risk assessment, event trees are detailed and arrived at post-intense brainstorming with various multidisciplinary experts and members of the community. The event tree could cross 7 or 8 levels also shown in the next figure. Fault tree. Fault tree and event trees are in principle similar. In event tree, as we begin with the primary hazard and imagine the consequences, fault trees are usually made as an analysis of an adverse event that has already happened. Fault tree begin with the impact or consequences and trace back to the possible initiating event or hazard that could have triggered the impacts. With the listing of the frequency and probability of hazards and the event tree analysis to list the possible secondary and tertiary hazards, a composite map could be prepared based on these findings under various themes like the season of occurrence, etc. These composite maps are the outcome of hazard assessment. Now let us have some understanding of vulnerability assessment and approaches. Vulnerability is highly complex and contextual. The contextual nature of vulnerability and community being the central theme of vulnerability make the concept extremely dynamic as the community characteristics might change over time. There are mainly 4 types of vulnerability. First is physical vulnerability. Depending on the location or geographic proximity of the community or spatial distribution of community from the source or origin of the hazard. It also includes the difficulty to access to resources or the lack of planning that lead to settlement in floodplains or zone with high liquefaction potential of the soil. Second is social vulnerability. Depend on the family structures, decision making, organization potential of the community to collect, discuss and react to changes collectively. Weak structure and a segregated community on caste, religion, language, race, ethnic lines could lead to increased vulnerability of communities. Economic vulnerability depend on the varied, sustainable source of livelihood, control and access to means of production, presence or absence of saving or buffer in time of disaster, etc. Environmental vulnerability. This depends on the natural resource management. Excess degradation or depletion could increase the vulnerability of system to disasters. Institutional vulnerability depend on the institutional capacity and weakness. Vulnerability assessment. There are four main clusters of assessing vulnerability. First one is laundry list approach, which tries to list the element at risk. This includes the structural fragility of infrastructure, the vulnerability of people, etc. Second is the taxonomy approach that form taxonomies of vulnerable population like a B or C classification of building depending on their structural strength, classification of population in gender, social, status, access to power, physical abilities, etc. Situational approach. This approach is to look at vulnerability to certain specific situation like in the case of earthquake or in case of a policy change like change in currency denomination. Community based approach. When communities determine their own vulnerability and their capability which could utilize any of the above three approaches nested into this approach, often the pre-existing inequalities within a community get reinforced when community based or community led vulnerability analysis is done. Holistic analysis of vulnerability may be very complex due to the variety of interaction that act between individual and communities. The drivers of vulnerability are the intrinsic human and environmental condition depending on the resilience of the system that are sensitive to exposure to the stress induced by the hazards. Essential elements of vulnerability analysis include assessment purpose and scope, including assessment purpose, expected outcome, existing target or goals, the time frame and geographical scope, key stakeholder and resource availability and requirement. Assessment of the sensitivity and exposure, the potential impact on the social, economic and ecology of systems due to the magnitude of the stress or hazard, the existing local stress including routine risk, and the differences in how individual or institution might be affected by the hazards under assessment. The adaptive capacity that assess the ability of communities to cope with and respond to the hazards along with the routine risk phase. These include the effectiveness of the social network and their access, the local knowledge or custom or practices that help to cope with the stress or hazards, community awareness toward the hazard, the ability to mobilize, plan, respond to and learn from the hazard, access to material resources and financial resources along with the access to information, etc. Assessment is mainly qualitative but could be converted to a quantitative scale. For instance, the vulnerability assessment carried out by Australian Emergency Management Society suggests a logarithmic table quantifying the qualitative assessment into 4 levels of susceptibility and 4 levels of resilience, which is very low, low, medium and high. Vulnerability result due to the combination of susceptibility and resilience. The scale is as follows. Susceptibility is the exposure to danger and resilience is the capacity to recover, while vulnerability is the predisposition of system to suffer damage. Further, the factor that need to be assessed for each hazard is also specified. Socio-economic vulnerability assessment. There are few useful models available to carry out the socio-economic vulnerability assessment, which is household economy approach, also called HEA, individual household model, also called IHM, household livelihood security analysis, also called HLSA. The household economy model, for instance, could help in performing an outcome analysis by investigating how baseline access to food and income could be affected by particular hazard. Using such analysis for operationalization of DRR efforts, is challenging and has a lot of difficulties that include the lack of a common understanding and difficulties in finding matrices to represent. Physical vulnerabilities are among the most easily identified and assessed. These could be done through vulnerability scales, building codes, fragility function, etc. On the basis of the arriving of typology of building and utilizing maximum credible hazard parameter and response functions when damage state have been identified. But significant resources would be required for a multiple hazard physical exposure profiling at different geographical scales. Now we will discuss about the risk assessment and approaches. The scientific quantification of risk based on hazard, vulnerability and capacity analysis is called risk assessment. It involves gathering data of various hazards and on the basis of a statistical analysis predicting the probability of their occurrence and impact in future. The understanding of the causes of disaster and their probable impact is very important for conducting proper risk assessment. Once hazard and vulnerability assessment are completed, risk assessment for disaster may be evaluated. Risk assessment must be multi-hazard. As the same geographical area might be threatened by multiple hazards, it is necessary to identify the range of hazards and impact on the current infrastructure and plant infrastructure on different group of people and their coping capacity to bounce back from various hazards. Multi-sectoral. Different hazard will impact to different sector differently. Consequences of drought and that of earthquake to the building stocks would be different. Likewise, consequences of drought and earthquake on agriculture would also be completely different. Multi-level. The risk assessment could be carried out at the ward level, that is integrated to the district level and later to the state, finally leading to the country's disaster risk assessment. Multi-stakeholder, involving relevant stakeholder. Multi-phase, considering action for response, recovery, mitigation and prevention. Now we will discuss type of risk assessment. First one is qualitative assessment, describing risk into categories as high, medium and low based on the expert judgment. Second is semi-quantitative, expressing risk in terms of indices based on relative ranking of weights assigned by means of certain criteria. Quantitative, expressing risk in quantitative terms as probabilities or as expected losses. Quantitative assessment of risk could be, first one is probabilistic, second is expressed as probabilities which is 0 to 1 for having predefined loss. Third one is economic as a quantification of expected losses in monetary terms and the following calculated. Probable maximum loss, the largest loss possible for a particular time period. Average annual loss, the loss when average of losses per year is calculated. Loss exceedance curve, a risk curve plotting the losses against probability for many events. Population risk as a quantification of the risk to population. Individual risk or risk of fatality or injury to identified individual in the impact area. Societal risk, which is individual risk extrapolated to a society. An example of quantitative assessment of risk is HRVA, Hazard Risk Vulnerability Analysis Toolkit, which is a comprehensive method utilized for such evaluation. Based on the vulnerability and frequency of occurrence, a metric of risk for the hazard is developed. An example of semi-quantitative assessment is utilizing GIS, which is Geospatial Information System, where multi-criteria techniques are utilized. The risk identified qualitatively when represented in spatial method utilizing risk indices by combining vulnerability index and hazard index is such a technique. Plotting of vulnerability curves or fragility curves by utilizing damage functions for earthquake hazard is an instance of quantitative assessment of risk. The RADIUS, which is also called as risk assessment tool for diagnosis of urban area against seismic disasters, tool is a popular tool to analyze earthquake risk. It allows its user to perform a loss estimation using gridded mesh with its accuracy depending on the accuracy of information provided in the modeling. Necessity of risk assessment. Risk assessment provides tremendous scope for interventions towards disaster risk reduction. The Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction has understanding risk at its first priority. The first The other priority are strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster risk, followed by investment in disaster risk reduction for resilience and enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and build back better in recovery, rehabilitation and reconstruction. 3 of the 4 priorities require a thorough understanding of risk, which would enable fruitful measure toward disaster risk governance and investment in disaster risk reduction. SFDRR also states that no new risk must be created by any new development project, thereby making risk assessment an important parameter in the design and implementation of development programs. Investment in development projects have repeatedly been negated by losses due to natural disasters, especially in hazard-prone area, including the recent Fukushima nuclear tragedy due to the strong earthquake that rocked Japan. Cost-benefit analysis consists of the following steps: estimations of production cost and the corresponding future benefits, which is calculating the current cost for different design. Costing saved lives, which could be difficult as it would try to equate human life with financial equivalent. Generally, the accepted rule of thumb is that the economic value of a single individual is the discounted sum of her or his expected earning in her or his future. With these in mind and with proper risk assessment, goal-oriented risk reduction technique could be designed with the concept of acceptable risk. The current understanding of vulnerability, coping capacity and resilience of communities plays an important role in any developmental or disaster risk reduction program. Risk assessment information could be used in the insurance sector for better policies, in the construction sector for the design and modification of building codes, in land use, land planning sector for driving investment toward greater resiliency of projects and outcomes, at community level for influencing decision making, preparedness and capacity building. Utilizing risk assessment technique, we could strategize to reduce the impact of hazard and to prevent their turning into disasters. This could be achieved through better prevention, mitigation, preparedness or risk transfer mechanism. Now we will summarize this module by saying that hazard may be a natural or a man-made event that has the possibility to cause adverse effects. The occurrence of the hazard is not the disaster, but all the disasters result due to the exposure of vulnerability by hazards. The scientific quantification of risk based on hazard, vulnerability and capacity analysis is called risk assessment. The component of assessing risk is hazard, the chance or likelihood or probability of the occurrence of the potential adverse natural or man-made event. Exposure, the location, values and attribute of the asset that are important to the community. It could be the stock of property or infrastructure. And vulnerability, likelihood that the exposed asset would be damaged during the occurrence of the hazard event. It accounts for the susceptibility of the exposed assets. Hazard assessment process involves the identification and systematic ranking of all hazards that might affect a location. An event tree is an effective method to identify secondary and tertiary hazard that might arise from a primary hazard and prepare accordingly. Event trees explore multiple outcomes that might result from a particular primary hazard as the instigating event. Fault trees begin from the impact or consequences and trace back to the possible initiating event or hazard that could have triggered the impact. The concept of vulnerability is multi-layer. Vulnerability is highly complex and contextual. The driver of vulnerability are the intrinsic human and environmental conditions depending on the resilience of the system that are sensitive to exposure to the stress induced by the hazard. Useful models are available to arrive at the socio-economic vulnerability assessment, including model like household economy approach, individual household model, household livelihood security analysis. An example of quantitative assessment of risk is the HRVA, which is Hazard Risk Vulnerability Analysis Toolkit, which is a comprehensive method utilized for such evaluation. An example of semi-quantitative assessment is utilizing GIS, where multi-criteria technique are utilized. The RADIUS tool is a popular tool to analyze earthquake risk. The Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction has understanding risk at its first priority. Risk assessment information could be used in the insurance sector for better policies, in the construction sector for the design and modification of building codes, in land use land planning sector for driving investment towards greater resiliency of project and outcomes, at community level for influencing decision making, preparedness and capacity building. Thank you.